Hi, everybody. Spring break is over, and Spartan's sports report is back, right, Ron?
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. We're back.
And winter showed up again, apparently. Yeah.
And the spring break is over for our athletic director.
Yeah.
Yep, it's over. Whatever it was, but yes, it's over.
Did you actually have one?
I took a couple days. I didn't go anywhere, but I did take a couple days. I still got phone calls, but you know.
Andrew Van Meter, we're always happy to see you.
Thanks. It's glad to be here.
Because you bring us Spartan news.
I try to.
Spring sports off to a pretty good start.
Slowly, but yes, we're slowly rolling. This week actually is our first busy week where we've got lots of games home and away. So we kind of gradually came back after spring break last week with a few things here and there, but for the most part, we're in full swing. All the sports will be competing this week, hopefully at some point, middle school and high school level. So
Yeah, when you talk about spring break, I just realized, do they play games over spring break?
So the softball team played in a tournament down in Tennessee over break. Tennis chooses not to. They can, but it's hard getting the girls there because a lot of kids still go away on spring break. Baseball had a scrimmage over break. And then track, they didn't have anything, but the end of that spring break was the indoor state. So yes and no. There's a lot of stuff, but we try to avoid it if we can, just because we know that our coaches are already struggling to get kids to come to practice, let alone to put enough together to play a game.
Right,
so, yeah.
Well, the Spartan baseball season started April 1. That's April Fool's Day, but they started. It's a pretty good start. They won 3-0 over Hagerstown in a home game.
Yeah, that was a
and on the next day, they had an 8-7 win over Richmond, which is always good.
Yep. So the first, the two pitchers combined to have a no-hitter for the very first game out on the new field. And then, they went to Richmond, and the getting home was a little scary because that's when the storm started rolling in that evening. So a lot of communication between those teams. So.
And they'll be on the road Monday night in a game at Batesville. The Spartan softball is now 2-4 on this season. They had losses to Daisler 4-1. St. Viator 7-5, Sardis 11-3, and Bloomington Central Catholic 7-2. Three of those schools, are they American?
They are.
Okay, I just wondered.
Yeah, so
I've never heard of them.
That was in the tournament down in Tennessee. So there's three of those schools were from Illinois.
American.
I think one of them was an Ohio team, and then I believe there was at least one from Alabama, maybe. So there was schools
unheard of, isn't it, to go to Tennessee? But
well, there's a lot of schools that do go to tournaments. You're allowed 120 miles from the state line. It doesn't say what state line. It just says from the state line. Yeah. So it was kind of close, but we actually were able to get into that tournament, and you could pick how many games you wanted from 1 to 9. Yeah. And Coach Rubel decided he wanted to play 6. So they played 3 on Wednesday and 3 on Thursday.
Wow. It's a good experience for the girls.
It was, and they played against some tough teams early in the season, and it's a great way to learn, great way to get better. Yeah.
And the ladies had a couple of wins against Sycamore 9-5 and Farmington 6-5.
They sound
the
American.
Lady Spartans will take on the 1-0 Newcastle Trojans on Monday in a game. And other sports, the girls' varsity tennis will get underway on Tuesday this week away at Newcastle. Who's coaching the girls?
Jason Krause.
Okay.
So he's been there for he's been there since I've been here. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Spartan varsity track will begin their season on Monday the 14th at South Dearborn. Is that a co-ed meet?
Yes. So all the meets are co-ed. We don't do any individual ones. Yep.
Are all the track, are they all co-ed?
Yes. All of them are co-ed. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The one time we split is during sectionals where the girls are on one night and the boys are on another night.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we will host that?
We host the boys this year. We do not host the girls. Not sure why, but when they realigned everything, East Central hosts the girls. So we host the boys on Thursday, the 22nd, I believe, of May.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully everything out there is ready to go.
Yeah, so logistically, that's got to be tough.
April and May are the busy spring sports. I mean, you have a lot of games and events to get in a couple of months.
Yeah, we average about 5 to 7. It's about 6 games a day. Wow. In some sport, whether it's middle school or high school. Like, so tonight we had 6. We had 2 away and 4 home. And then, we've got some days where every single sport is competing on a day. So trying to find where everybody goes and who's coming and going is a lot. So
The boys'
transportation's a
baseball
lot.
team plays almost 25 games. Something
They
like
play. Their schedule allows them to play 25.
that? And then the girls.
The girls are the same way.
softball. Okay.
And then, or they can play a tournament. So they can add a tournament in there. So actually, I think it's 28 games they're allowed to play. 26 if they play in the tournament. So, yeah, they're packed. Schedules are packed.
Yes, yes, yes.
And you got to try to be at a lot of them.
Yep. If it's home, we're probably busy almost 5 to 6 days a week. Some of us are. Yeah. So it's a
What
lot.
about the tennis? They don't play that many.
They play. I think theirs is a total of 18 a year.
Or do they?
Or they can play, and their tournaments can definitely count in that as well. So they play quite a bit. They're 2 to 3 days a week with tennis,
Yeah.
and if it gets rained out, it could be even more than that.
Yes.
So yeah, on average, our teams will play. Most of them, other than track, is about 3 games a week from the time we start in April until May. Because of course, tennis ends. I think their sectionals are the same week as boys track. Sectionals, so like the week of the 18th. And so they end kind of early in May. Boys and girls softball then falls towards the last week of May, usually around graduation. Golf is after graduation because their sectional's not until June 2nd and 3rd, somewhere in there. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of time. Once we get back from spring break, it's go time. It's 8 weeks of straight ball.
It's exciting for the fans.
It is, and there's always something to do. There's and more times than not, there's something always at the high school going on. Whether it's middle
Right.
school or high school now, we have something almost every single night. I think there's one night in April, like April 23rd, which I'm jinxing myself because we're going to host now because of this weather.
Probably, yeah.
But April 23rd is the only night the rest of this month that we don't have something Monday through
Really?
Saturday at the high school.
We have a new baseball field.
We do have a new baseball field.
And how is it doing?
It's doing well. It's kind of wet right now, a little soggy. I think everything's a little soggy. But the field itself is ready to go. We are still waiting on parts for the bleachers. So unfortunately, the bleachers aren't ready to go, which then means the press box is not up. So we're everything's here and ready to go once the press box gets put up. But right now we're without sound, so we're just playing baseball. We do the Pledge of Allegiance and we play ball. So the beginning of the game starts pretty much, if it says it's 5:30, we're starting at 5:30 because we don't have any way to announce right now
Who's starting lineups?
out there.
Really?
Yeah, just because we don't have that press box.
For
But
fans that want to watch the game, how's the access to the field?
access, well, great question, Fran.
Lots of luck, huh?
It is a little bit tricky just because we're working on a lot of projects.
You're still
Yes.
building.
We're still building the football field. Bleachers are still getting ready to be constructed. So we've got bleachers,
I
we've
forgot
got press
about that,
boxes, we've got lifts back there. So it is a little bit of a hike as
Sure.
far as parking. Like you have to park in the football field and walk across. So it isn't as convenient. But once we get the press box for baseball up, that'll free up some parking. Another one of our boxes is going to be our restroom and concession. And so once that one gets set, that'll free up some parking. So we're getting there. We're hoping our deadline now, which I know there was a conference call today, but our deadline was supposed to be April 1st for baseball, which we didn't hit that one. But the first track meet, middle school track meet's April 22nd. So we have to have some bleachers up for that.
Yeah.
So we're really hoping that that'll clean stuff up. So by the end of this month, we're really fingers crossed
Yes.
that we've got some of that. And then parking won't be an issue. It's still going to be hard because now we have 2 fields playing at the same time for baseball when we're only used to playing 1. So more people, more parking. So
You got construction all over.
we do. And the pool is
pool,
in the
yeah.
process of getting
When does that start?
the construction.
Yeah.
Oh, they're already in
They're
it.
really
And
doing it now.
they've ripped all the tile up. They've got the floor tile up, the wall tile up, the bleachers are out. I believe they were painting the roof, like the ceiling
Wow.
inside. So sandblasting that and painting that. So they're rolling. Like they don't really need anything from anybody. They just kind of go
Just take
and
it
do
over.
their own thing. And
gotta
lots
be-
of dumpsters full of trash has been
I'm sure.
from the inside, you know, the tiles and
yes.
all that stuff. So they're rolling. I don't know. We just kind of leave them alone.
I'm sure it's weird to go in there and not smell chlorine.
You can't really get in there at this point. Like
I guess so. Yeah,
they've
I
kind of
guess
got
you're
it.
right, yeah.
They've kind of got it blocked off and for safety reasons.
Yeah.
But Yeah, lots of projects. So it's fun and it's exciting because, the email to schools is, hey, please be careful. Please be
Right.
aware of our parking. It's not ideal, but we got a lot of construction going on right now. And, we had
Close.
Hagerstown. We had Hagerstown here on the 1st, and I wish I had a drone because it was really neat to see. Like, it was parking like at a football game because we had a JV game on one field, we had the varsity game on the other field.
Yes.
And so both fields were going. Lights were on both fields.
Oh.
Of course, we had limited parking, but they were parking. The Columbia lot was full. People parking in the grass, which I was hoping they didn't get stuck.
Yeah.
But it's just really neat. So I'm excited to see what it looks like once that area gets cleaned up and we can utilize it a little bit more. So.
Is some of the funding from these improvements coming from the contests that we entered last fall?
No, unfortunately, the contest we did last fall just helped us update our weight room.
Okay.
So we ended up with $5,000 total.
Right,
we thought it was closer to 10, but it was only 5,000. So we used that money for weight room upgrades. So there was a lot of stuff in the weight room we were lacking, and so we put that money into it because a lot of our kids are in and out of there during the
Sure.
day. But yeah, most of this money was, I believe, and I'm not the money guru by any means, but I do believe that money was set aside in the last year's budget for the baseball field. Actually, 2 years ago, because
Yes.
the field was supposed to be done last November. So that's where a lot of that money had come from, is it had already been set aside for this. The bleacher project was one that kind of popped up, but the safety factor
Yes.
was kind of pushed it to the forefront because those bleachers were just getting to the point where you could only save them so many times before someone was going to seriously get hurt. So that was a need. Those bleachers have been there for a very, very long time. And then the pool, I'm not really sure. The pool was one where they were part of one, and then so was the Frazee construction project. Those were two projects they decided. The pool is original to the building. Well, not to the building, but I think maybe it is original to the building. But the pool hasn't had any updates since it was built. And so the drainage was bad in there. Some of the structural things on the inside were not going well, and especially if you have kids in there for PE swimming, the safety factor. So it was in need, and that's kind of what they're pushing that towards. So,
Will the football bleachers be similar to Rushville?
as far as you mean size-wise,
Yes.
I'm not really quite 100% sure. We did cut them down a little bit.
Okay.
On each end, and then they're going to be back a little bit. So there's more ADA accessibility as far as seating in the front. It's wider. There's places for chairs, strollers, and things like that right now we don't have. There will be ramps out the back. So they're called vomitories. I've never heard that word in my life. They're called a vomitory. I guess it dates back to the ancient Greece.
People puked?
But yep, I think that's where it came from. But they come up from the back, so the ramp goes up from the back,
Okay.
and then you can like turn around and there's like the stairs and everything. So now they'll exit back by the concession stands.
Oh, okay, I see,
So we've moved the dumpsters. We have a pad out there by the new baseball field where the dumpsters and stuff are going to go, so we don't have those inside the gate anymore. So
Right,
I've complained enough that has gotten fixed. So now when they come out, they'll come out back on the concession side. So they won't walk in front anymore. They'll come up from the back.
And the
then
press box should
it'll
be-
connect to the press box.
Yeah. And the press box should be the same, correct?
Yep, correct. So it's the only thing standing right now out there. So there's no way to
That's
get
what I thought,
into the
yeah.
press box. So
Yeah.
unless you have a big ladder, and I'm not climbing a big
Are
ladder.
we going to get an
frame.
elevator for the press box?
No. Good try, but no.
Many changes to the athletic.
There is a lot.
Yes.
There definitely are a lot. And I mean, it's
You're
needed.
overseeing it.
I'm kind of, not really. I mean, I don't have any money, so I don't get to make decisions. I mean, I bought a scoreboard and I bought a sound system and, that kind of stuff. But as far as some of it, no.
Right, yeah.
No, not really.
What will be the capacity for the bleachers for
I
the
think
football?
the home side was 2,500 on the home side.
Okay.
And like 1,200 or something on the visitors. And I think they cut the home side down to like 2,000.
Really?
Yeah, so it
I
took
didn't know it'd be that
500
much,
off.
yeah.
I don't know that it's going to be that much, but I think it does cut it down. And then the visitor side, I think, is like right around 1,000, which our visitor side's bigger than most of the visitor sides you go to.
That's true. That is very true.
And we don't usually fill them.
No.
So I think they've shortened them just a little bit, but not a whole lot.
But because it seems like we're pretty packed.
Not really.
Really, no?
No. If you go from like the west side of the press box over like by the students and stuff, it's very sporadic. It's packed between 40 and 40.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, like right in front of the press box, it's pretty much packed, and then it kind of filters. So it's going to make people in a little bit closer, but we didn't lose a whole lot.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. I guess from our angle, we see it
you
more,
see the stuff that's in front of you. Yep.
We see it pretty packed there. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So.
And all this will be in place when the season begins in August?
It should be in place by April 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
We're hoping by April 22nd, Fran. They poured concrete, which we weren't all, like our school system wasn't necessarily a fan of. They poured concrete on the home side on Thursday of last week, right after the downpour rain.
Yeah,
and then it rained again. So I'm not sure what that looks like. So that wasn't a good thing. So that's kind of why the conference call happened today. So. But we're moving. The visitor side's been done. We're just waiting on the bleachers to go up.
Right.
And then the home side, we've been waiting on concrete. So supposedly it's down. I don't know what, I'm not a concrete person, so I don't know what rain does to it. But we've had a lot of rain and a little drying time. I don't know. So, but hopefully. But yeah, April 22nd, we really hope we have some bleachers. If not, track parents will have to stand or bring their own chairs. Bring their own chairs. So.
Well, that's good news for the football fans, especially. I know.
Yeah, absolutely. And the students go down there too. We have some like homecoming Olympics and things down there, so just safer for everybody who utilizes that field.
It's a good field.
It is. It's
really,
nice.
We got a nice field, and again, I'm partial to the grass. And we talked off air before we went on the air about the artificial turf of everything. And some schools are going that route, but. I like the grass of things.
I think the kids like the grass too. Yeah. It doesn't hurt them as bad, knee-wise, ankle-wise.
Yeah, we have that natural little football curvature that they have. Yeah, that's how it should be done. Yeah.
We could be underwater, like North Decatur and Hagerstown. I mean, their fields are underwater today. Yeah. So I'm glad we're not underwater. I'm glad our school's on a hill.
Yeah. There's no thought for CHS to have artificial turf.
Not right now.
I don't
no,
think so.
There's enough. There's more needs in the corporation and the buildings, the educational aspect than there are for athletics right now. So, and I 100% understand that. And I think, right now turf would be fantastic. Yeah. But I also feel the flip side in the fall when it's too hot. And what does it look like when it's too hot? And so there's a lot of things out there with cancer and cancer studies with the little pellets potentially causing that. So
some schools don't play their games during the day. They wait tonight because of the heat.
The heat, So, I mean, I think you get pros and cons either way. I mean, training-wise, it would be fantastic because of all the teams that want to come inside. You know, like tonight, they all have to come inside and they're on a rotating schedule.
Yes.
And then they may not like it. Like track may not want to come in at 7 o'clock at night because that's their slotted time. But we have to do that because otherwise other people want to schedule. So it makes it tough.
Yeah. And every kid, they get into a routine of practice under a certain time. You throw that off a little bit.
Yeah. So they rotate. So softball, baseball, and track rotate ABC schedules. So like tonight, I'm not sure who it is, but like track goes from 4 to 5:30, softball goes from 5:30 to 7, and then baseball would go from 7 to 8:30. And then tomorrow it kind of rotates down. So if they do have to practice inside, they know ahead of time what their time frame is going to be. So it's not like we don't have a space, or we can't practice. And the middle school uses the middle school tennis. Middle school softball, baseball, and tennis then use the old gym, and so they're kind of on a rotating
Middle school don't have
basis.
tennis, do they?
What?
Middle school doesn't have
We're
tennis,
actually piloting a girls' middle school team this spring.
Really?
Because there's a lot of schools that have a middle school tennis team for girls in the spring and the boys in the fall. So we're trying it. We've got about 3. We only have like 3 matches, but Coach wanted to try it to see what the interest would be. So we're going to see how it goes.
Tennis is a good
So
sport.
separating tennis from co-ed in one season to the seasons they are in high school, and then the same thing with golf. We might be looking at that.
Really?
So
Wow, that'd be nice.
just trying to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges an athletic director faces? Where do you want to start?
I was going to say, how much time do we have, Fran?
Well,
We have 9 minutes and 6
I don't
seconds.
think we have a lot of
We
time.
have part 2, chapter 2.
We're going
next
to need
week.
like chapter 10.
Yeah.
I don't know, Fran. I think part of it, the scheduling is definitely tricky because you have to play your conference schools. So like with baseball tonight, varsity baseball, good chance it's going to get canceled. Softball, if they would have played a conference school, you have to make that up. So then you have to make those decisions like who non-conference do you call and cancel to be able to get that conference game in. So, tonight's softball game with Newcastle got canceled, but they're not a conference school, so we don't have to make it up. But we try because we don't want the kids to lose that. Baseball would have to be. So then we'd have to figure out when can we do it? When can they do it? All right, we're already playing 3 games. So then strategically, your pitchers, right? Because you want your your good pitchers to pitch against your conference schools. So that would probably be one of the challenges is the scheduling part. And then, of course, it's the official. So, great, we canceled, but we're going to reschedule tomorrow. Well, now I got to see if I can get officials.
Are they available?
Right,
Sure.
exactly, because they might be signed up for another game. And so then that's like your second piece. I haven't had issues, knock on wood. I don't know where the wood's at, Ron. No, just kidding. I don't have issues with workers, but sometimes that's difficult. Announcers and concession workers and ticket takers, that's tough.
A lot of moving parts.
There's a lot of moving parts. And then, of course, the most important one is transportation.
Yeah.
I mean, like today, softball thought about maybe going to Newcastle because they thought their field was going to be ready. Well, I had to call transportation and make sure there was a bus or a driver available because you still have FFA and choir and band and all of the other clubs and elementary field trips and things that also take buses and minibuses. And so I'm like, hey, Daryl, is there a minibus in case softball gets to go to Newcastle? So, I mean, that's usually where we start. We start with calling our transportation and making sure we have a bus. And then we the parts keep rolling. So
who helps you do all this, keep it straight?
So Katrina Harris is our athletic secretary.
Okay.
I kind of call her an assistant AD because she pretty much knows everything. Like if you call the office, she can answer it. She knows. Some people don't want to talk to her, which is so crazy because she knows probably more than the average person.
You get the answer from her.
She does. She knows the answer. But so Katrina does a lot with transportation. She is the one who gets the ticket takers for events. So she and I are in constant contact during the day. That's high school. Middle school, Mr. Havlicek, Damon Havlicek does our middle school stuff. So he's in constant communication with the other middle school ADs. And then he then gets a hold of Katrina for workers and stuff like that, buses. And then Jamie Becker joined the crew back in December. And so we're kind of slowly weeding her in. But because she's not full-time athletics, we don't usually make her make those decisions because, of course, she does counseling as her main part. So we kind of give her like the social media stuff. So she's kind of waiting on me to find out about tonight's game, and then she's going to make the post about games for tonight being canceled or whatever it may be. And so, there's just a lot of moving things. That we try to incorporate people. But, at the end of the day, unfortunately, my name's on it. So if something gets messed up, whether I divvy it out or if I do it myself, I got to make sure. So, so I got to make sure that it's taken care of. So, there's a lot. And then spring's the worst. 100% spring is the absolute worst season.
Because most everything's outside.
Well, everything's outside.
Everything is. You're battling the elements, and
there's decisions I can't. I mean, there's things I can't help. I mean, I called
help
Brian, our maintenance guy, and hey, Brian, how the field's looking? Do you want my honest opinion, or do you want me to make you happy? I'm like, I need your honest opinion. He's like, well, I don't even want to walk out there. So I'm like, okay. So if he doesn't want to walk out there, my guess is we're probably not going to be safe, even if you give it 6 hours.
Right.
But he's pretty like, I can get this ready. I can make it work. The coaches and I can make it work. Our coaches are fantastic.
Yes.
And they are. They're fantastic. I mean, Coach Cloyd's been out there on the baseball field 4 times a day, every day since probably February. And Coach Rubel has been out the softball fields, again, same amount. Like, our coaches, if they want to play, they'll try their hardest to do whatever they can to make it play and make it happen. So, They're great. They're great people. So, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you have to have that dedication, especially from any coach from the top, because then it filters down to the kids.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think our baseball program, 7 through 12, there's not a day that one of those coaches isn't out there
Right.
on one of the fields.
Right.
Because now, I don't know if the community knows, but in the past we used to play our middle school games out at Babe Ruth, which, lucky for us, we don't have to use Babe Ruth right now because
Right.
it's kind of underwater.
Yeah.
Playing kickball with boats, or I'm not sure. But
you can do that.
so we used to use Babe Ruth as our second field for
Oh,
JV
yes.
overflow or middle school. But now that we have our second field, it's slated that our middle school kids will play up at the high school.
Good.
And there's one night that we're asking them to go down to Babe Ruth, and that's when we have boys track sectionals, just to keep
The parking.
not necessarily the parking, but keep people safe. Because when JV plays on that field, foul balls go into the pole vault and onto the track.
Right, yeah, it's right
So
there.
the new varsity field, we don't have that issue, but with JV field, that's why we're moving the shot put and the discus up on the hill to avoid issues.
Oh, you are moving
Yeah,
it.
that'll be
Okay.
moved here soon. Once it dries up, we'll have it poured.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the only thing that we had to move. So it's worked out really well for that reason. The city's been great letting us use it for the past couple years, but like now it's underwater, and how much is it going to cost to add dirt to the field to make it playable and that kind of stuff. So we're very fortunate for that. So, but it's yet another field now that we've got to maintain and watch, and which we always did, but we go from 3 fields to 4 fields, and it adds a lot.
So the old varsity, you're keeping that one.
Yes, so that'll be where our JV plays.
Yeah.
If varsity are playing at the same time as a JV game, JV will play on that one varsity.
Varsity plays.
JV will play on the new field if there's no other games.
Right.
And then JV, like tonight, JV was supposed to play on the new field, and then the middle school boys were supposed to play on the older field. Yeah. But we never had that option in the past. It was
Right,
either,
which is great for the middle school kids to be up there playing. Yeah.
And it's just kind of nice to have them on property, because
Sure.
the only place now we have to leave is to go to the golf course.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
right.
we can-
That's right. You
yeah.
got everything.
So everything right there in our aspects. If
And then
something
you're
happens,
especially moving that up on the hill. That's even better.
yes, safer.
Much safer. Yeah.
Way safer.
Yeah, you don't have to build those nets and everything. And
Sure.
When the new field is complete, will be a chance for us to have some tournaments, IHSAA events?
I hope so. Someone else asked me that question the other day, and the issue with hosting tournaments isn't facilities anymore, I don't think. What I've noticed is its location to the
Okay.
center. So, like, for example, basketball. We hosted girls basketball sectionals, but we're the furthest south team. So whoever is the furthest north team has a longer travel time, which costs more, which means
Sure.
schools don't get as much money back.
right.
And so that's part of the issue. So yes, we'll have a nice facility, a nice field, but if we're not smack dab in the middle of all the other schools,
I see.
good chance they won't come to us. Like that's why boys baseball is going to Yorktown this year for sectionals, because it's centrally located with all the schools, right? And girls softball is going to Delta because it's centrally located with Newcastle, Jay County,
that's
Hamilton
true.
Heights.
Yeah.
So that's more of a factor now than what you have. That's why we fight it with basketball.
Yeah, but still, we have the best facility
I know,
in basketball.
absolutely, and we have
Crazy.
a really nice baseball and softball field.
Yeah, that is good.
I mean,
yeah.
Our
We have good
baseball field is one of the
facilities.
better ones in the conference, but yet again, we still
Location.
struggled with location, and that
Yes.
and that's sad. It's very
Yes, it
sad.
is. It is.
Absolutely. So
That is.
Well, it's good news you brought us about the football improvements, the new bleachers going to be installed, and everything that goes along with it.
everything going on. So
Good.
yeah, and the golf course is right now having some issues with water, so our boys golf team hasn't got to practice as much as they want to, but they should have a pretty good season. They travel. They were supposed to go to Edinburgh on Saturday, but they've got some meets coming up here pretty soon, so I'm excited to see what they can do as well. So
As always, thanks, Andrea, for taking time out to bring us up to date. And I know the fans are interested in the Spartans.
well, I appreciate you having me.
Thanks again.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report.